What do Abraham Lincoln, the typewriter, and printing all have in common? It's actually a really fascinating story of innovation. See, in the 1800s, if you wanted to, say, write a letter, if you wanted to take notes, if you needed to draft up a report for work, it wasn't that easy. You didn't have computers or a phone to go off of. All you had was a pen and paper. So writing sometimes could be a slow working process. Especially if you needed to make copies or rewrite, that was even a slower process because you had to write every word by hand. But for someone like James O. Clephane, noticing all that, it was a call to action. James was a stenographer working in the courtroom. He had to use a steel nib pen, taking down notes and filling out documents, having to dip the ink each time and writing down those notes quickly. But he was so good at his job that he actually worked with President Abraham Lincoln. And not only that, he had befriended many other presidents as well. But for James, having to write down quickly and make multiple copies in the courtroom was no easy task. James's father was a typographer and printer. So he grew up around making multiple copies. It was in his blood. But the thing is that being around that craft, that's what prompted James to really think beyond the ink and pen. James lived during the Industrial Revolution. This was a time that inventors were coming up with grand, amazing things. We had the steam engine, the telegraph, the cotton gin. And this prompted James to think way beyond the ink and pen. He needed something groundbreaking. Much like James, there was other inventors out there across America and Europe that were trying to figure out ways to create a better way of writing. Now, two of those people, Christopher Latham Scholes and Carlos Glidden, along with a few others, were able to make the first successful commercial typewriter. A machine that could write with just a push of a button. This new invention of the typewriter had to be tested somehow. What better way than to test it on a stenographer? So Scholes actually sent James some typewriters to give it a try, to let them know what works and what doesn't work. James quickly found out that the layout of the keyboard was an issue, causing a lot of jamming when typing. This prompting Christopher Latham Scholes to come up with the QWERTY keyboard, spacing the common letters apart, preventing the type bars from jamming when typing too fast. James's input improved the typewriter so well that he actually ended up buying 7 machines for his workers at his company. James had bigger dreams beyond the typewriter. With his dad being a printer and a typographer, James thought, how can I now make printing newspapers even faster? You see, making a newspaper was a painstaking task of typesetting and getting all the letters and rearranging everything just to make one sheet of paper. James thought, how can I merge the two? How can I bring typewriters and typesetting together? How can I bridge the gap between the two? And that's exactly what he did. So James took this idea along with his associates, and in the late 1800s, they went to Baltimore to a small shop and met a young man, 22 years old, named Otmar Mergenthaler, a watchmaker. And together, with their minds combined, they invented the linotype, a machine that revolutionized the printing industry. Much like the typewriter, a smaller machine that changed everyday writing into reality. Now you know what Abraham Lincoln, the typewriter, and printing have in common.